So now studying about the Prime Minister, we see that Prime Minister is the real head or de facto head of the state. We've already started that President is considered to be the head of the state, but the real powers, they lie in the hands of the Prime Minister, and that is why he is considered as the real head or the de facto head. The president is only a nominal, just for the name's sake, he's a constitutional head of the state, but all the real powers to practically execute things, implement things, they lie in the hands of the prime minister, and that is why he's the real head or the de facto head of the state. The prime minister is also the head of the council of ministers. He and his council of ministers are collectively responsible to the parliament. We know that when the Lok Sabha elections are held, the political party which gets the majority of the vote, it goes on to form the government. That is, a member of that political party which has garnered the maximum number of votes, the majority, will select a person from amongst their party members, and he will be appointed as the prime minister. The rest of the ministers who are part of his party, they go on to form the council of ministers. Now, the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers, they are collectively responsible to the Parliament. That means whatever policy is formed by this government now, not only the Prime Minister but his Council of Ministers, they will also be responsible for every policy that is brought by that government, by the government of the Prime Minister. They all will be answerable for that. Whatever policy they bring, they are going to be held accountable for that. What are the good factors about it? What are the bad factors about it? If the policy fails or whatever, they all will be responsible for that. All of them together are answerable to the government. To the public, they have to answer. To the parliament, they have to answer. So it is the prime minister and his council of ministers, they together are answerable for every policy that they bring about. If a vote of non-confidence or no confidence is passed in the parliament, then all of them have to together resign. That is to say, if any policy is introduced by a prime minister, which is, or if a prime minister indulges in any form of corruption and there is a no confidence motion passed in the parliament, then it is not only the prime minister but the entire, all the council of ministers too have to resign. They all have to resign. Even if there is a mistake or corruption indulged in by any of the council of ministers, if he does it wrong and a vote of no confidence is passed, then they all together have to resign. So we say that all of them are collectively responsible to the parliament. Whatever decision is to be taken, they all sit together, think about it, all the pros and cons, the negatives and the positives, because they sink and swim together. If it is successful, it is attributed to all of them. If there is anything, wrong repercussions of it, then they all are going to suffer. They all will have to resign for the mistake of anyone. So they, all of them are collectively responsible to the parliament, and they are collectively accountable to the parliament. Now, what is this council of ministers? Who they comprise of? The Council of Ministers basically comprises of the cabinet ministers, ministers of state, and deputy ministers. Now, who are these cabinet ministers? They are very important ministers. One thing, that these ministers, these Council of Ministers, they have to be very responsible people, and they have to be very trustworthy for the Prime Minister. Because if they go on to do any mistake, then the prime minister and the entire council will suffer, and they might have to resign. So each of them has to be very trustworthy, and each of them has to be accountable. They have to perform their duty so that it causes no harm. They have to work for the benefit of the people. They cannot any point go against the public or do something that will go against the public, because that might bring down the government. Now, who are these cabinet ministers? We see all the important departments, like there is this finance department, defense department, railway department, communication department, transport department, all those important departments that look after different fields for the development of the country. They are headed by an important minister who is known as the cabinet minister. Every cabinet minister heads a particular department. Like finance, who is the finance minister? This is named Nirmala Sitaram, who is the defense minister. Tell me. Rajnath Singh, who is the home minister. Amit Shah. So there are these all different important departments. Who is the ministers? The head of that department, he is known as the cabinet minister. And so we see that these different departments, they are headed by a cabinet minister, which is allotted to him by the prime minister. So it is the prime minister who decides, okay, in my party, in my these people, he's the most trustworthy, he's skilled in this one, he has knowledge of this particular department, so he should go on to head this department, he will take up the responsibility of this department. So it is the prime minister who decides which person from his party will go on to head or become the cabinet minister of which department. And he has to be very trustworthy because they all work together. Cabinet ministers, they take all the important decisions. The ministers of state and all the deputy ministers, they will go on to follow the decisions which is made by the cabinet. So the cabinet comprises of the ministers who are very important, who are very close to the prime minister, and who are very much trustworthy, and they have to work because they are accountable to everyone. If any one of them makes a mistake, terrible mistake, then it can even amount to falling of the government. So they need to work really very well, and they are held accountable for every action of theirs. So we see that basically the council of ministers comprises of these cabinet ministers. Who are they? They are the head of a particular department which is allotted to them by the prime minister, and whatever the decisions are taken by the cabinet, they are followed by the others ministers of states and the deputy ministers. Now, another important note is that all the ministers of council, that is the council of ministers that we were talking about, the cabinet ministers, the ministers of state and the deputy ministers, now they all have to be members of the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. They have to be the members of the parliament, you see, either the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha, but they have to be the members. However, there is also a condition: a person who is not a member of the Lok Sabha, he can also be appointed as a minister by the prime minister. So in case, even if you are not the member, even in that case, you can be appointed as the minister by the prime minister. Now how can that happen? That can only happen in that there is a requirement that he has to obtain the membership of the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha within the 6 months of the date of appointment. So we see that the first requirement is that in order to become a council of minister, you are appointed by the prime minister. Prime minister will only go on to appoint you as the council of minister when he trusts you, when you are close to him, reliable, you are a part of his party only then he can trust and rely you. Second condition is that he should be members of the parliament, either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. However, suppose there is a person who is not even the member of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, who is very popular and who is a very well known face and who is very capable and also trustworthy by the parliament, even he can be appointed as the council of minister, but there is a condition that he needs to have the membership of the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. He needs to become the member of the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha within 6 months from the date he is appointed as a council of minister. Within 6 months he needs to become a member of the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. If he fails to do that, he will lose his position of the council of minister. So as we all know, who is the Prime Minister of India? Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister of India. As your part of homework, go and find out who are the important cabinet ministers, which minister holds that particular important department. Go and find out that list. So I hope this part is clear to you. The Prime Minister, the role of Council of Ministers, how they both together need to work together, because they both are together responsible. They are collectively responsible to the parliament. This is very important. Then talking about civil servants. Who are these civil servants? Civil servants, they are not any political people. They are not elected and they are not politicians. They are simple people who are government employees, or you could say bureaucrats, who do not belong to any political party. They are simply officials. They're government officials. They get a government job. They have the civil servant is a particular job, government job, whose task is to execute the policies which are formed by these cabinet, and they need to work impartially. So we have this legislature, we have the executive where there are these council of ministers, they will sit in the parliament, they will frame new policies, new laws and all. Now to execute them at the ground level, these are the government officials, civil servants who will go on to implement these policies, who will see that this work is getting done in this particular area. So basically, civil servants are those government officials who do not belong to any political party, and their work is to execute the policies which are formed by the cabinet. Impartially, what is meant by impartially here? That no matter what their political views are, suppose you go on to become a civil servant, okay? Now, even if you are a supporter of one political party, say you're a supporter of Congress party, but BJP government is in power, even if no matter what your personal views are, you have to honestly perform your duty and execute the policies which are being brought about by the current government. Whatever the policy is being brought about by the cabinet, you have to work honestly, keeping all your personal views aside, and you need to work for the development of the people. So that is why they have to work impartially, no matter who is in the government, which power is in the government, which political party has formed the government. You have to work to execute the policies which are only meant for the development of the people. So these civil servants, they are not elected people, they qualify through exams. Now, becoming a civil servant is considered a very difficult task in our country. It is one of the most difficult examinations to crack. If you wish to become civil servant, how do you become a civil servant? You have to appear for this examination, UPSC exam, Union Public Service Commission. So there is this UPSC exam in which there is a stage happens, there is a pre-exam, preliminary exam held, then there is a mains examination held, and then there is an interview held. Those who clear all the three stages, they go on to become civil servants. And it is a highly very prestigious job. If you know, it is considered that if you qualify civil servant, it's a very difficult exam to crack, and it is a big deal, and one who is a civil servant is highly respected in society because it's a very difficult examination. And any one of you can go on to clear this examination. You have to clear this examination which has three stages: pre-exam, preliminary exam, mains, and then interview. Once you clear this exam, then you get ranks. The one who have a very good rank, they are appointed as, IAS, IPS officer, IFS. IAS is what? Indian Administrative Service you get. IPS, Indian Police Service. What is IFS? Indian Foreign Service. So likewise, there are many positions, ranks that you get as per to the ranks. And you can be appointed at both at the central level also, you work at the state level also. So these civil servants basically are government employees whose task is to enforce, execute, implement all the policies which are formed by the cabinet. And they have to work very honestly and very rigorously. It's a highly prestigious job, and it is a highly revered job by everyone. So I hope this chapter, this union executive is clear to you, and the functions of everyone, the president, the vice president, the prime minister, the council of ministers, and the civil servants is clear to you.